Model News, October the 28th, 1937. Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Downs announced the birth of a 9-pound boy who was born October 19th. It has been named Alfred Frank. Mrs. Lorraine Epperson, wife of Dr. Roy Epperson of Athens, Tennessee, has been visiting relatives at Model, Ginger Creek, and Rushings Creek. Miss Laura Barra, who has been employed in Murray for several years, is visiting her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Henry Barra of this place. Mr. and Mrs. I.S. Vinson, Mrs. Lida and Cynthia Knight attended the Blood River Association Wednesday, which was held at Calvert City Baptist Church. L.A. Dilday attended Wednesday and Thursday also. Mrs. Maggie Dilday and her daughter Ruby attended the McCracken County Singing Convention at Oak Grove, Kentucky Sunday. Miss Margaret Bruton of Dover spent the weekend in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Roy L. Vinson. Mr. and Mrs. Hubert Bell of Paducah, Kentucky visited Mr. and Mrs. S.I. Futrell Sunday. The Turkey Creek Baptist Church are having their revival. Mrs. J.D. Rushing, Mrs. Gracie May, and daughter Arlene of this place are attending. J.I. Grogan of Murray visited in the home of Mr. and Mrs. I.S. Vinson last Sunday. Mrs. Ralph Cook is still unable to do her work, but is improving. In this model news, I will speak of the Oliver Franklin Downs family. Oliver Franklin Downs, 61, died suddenly at 10 p.m. Tuesday at Memorial Hospital of a heart attack. He was a grocery merchant. Funeral services will be held Saturday at 10 a.m. at Murphy's Funeral Home, with Brother Richard Cooper officiating. Burial will follow in the Rest Haven Memorial Gardens. He was a native of Stewart County, but had resided here since 1947. He was the son of the late Alfred and Annie Barra Downs. He was married on March 1st, 1930, to Ossie Herndon, who survives. Also surviving are 4 sons, Morris, Frank, Max, all of Clarksville, and Charles Downs of Thailand. 2 daughters also survive, and they are Mrs. Cara Jean May of Risco, Missouri, and Mrs. Howard Copeland of Clarksville. 12 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild also survive. He was a veteran of World War II. Pallbearers will be Edward Brown Jr., Howard Copeland, Charles Coppage, and Bill McGraw, Elsie Connell Jr., and James Corbin. O.C. Herndon Downs obituary from November 2004. O.C. Lee Downs, 96, Clarksville, died Tuesday, November the 16th, 2004, at Gateway Medical Center. The funeral will be at 2 p.m. Thursday at McReynolds, Nave, and Larson Funeral Home, with Joe Curse officiating. Burial will be in Rest Haven Memorial Gardens. Visitation from 4 to 8 p.m. today and Thursday from noon until the service at the funeral home. She was born August the 2nd, 1908 in Stewart County, daughter of Ernest David Herndon and Nellie Taylor Herndon. She was the widow of Oliver F. Downs. She was preceded in death by a son, Morris Downs, and a daughter, Roselle May. Mrs. Downs was a homemaker. She attended Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall and was a member of the Moose Club. Survivors includes 3 sons, Charles Downs of Missouri, Frank Downs, and Max Downs, both of Clarksville, a daughter, Nell Welch Adams, 12 grandchildren, and 17 great-grandchildren. Memorial contributions may be made to the American Cancer Society or Kingdom Hall of the Jehovah's Witness. I found an interesting article of Mr. and Mrs. Downs when they owned a grocery on Rossville Road in Montgomery County, Tennessee. Gunman flees after trite robbery. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office today was still looking for a young gunman who apparently got scared and fled the scene of attempted armed robbery. The gunman, described as a white man in his early 20s, attempted to stick up the owner of a grocery store in Rossville community. Sheriff Joel Plummer said the attempted holdup occurred about 6:30 o'clock last night. "I was just putting some drinks in a soft drink box when he walked in," said Oliver Downs, whose grocery is located on Rossville Road, about 8 miles northeast of Clarksville. Downs said the gunman stood at the counter for about a minute while he finished putting the soft drinks in the box. "I asked him what he wanted," Downs said. "I want your money," replied the gunman. Downs said the young man pulled out a gun and he told him no. "I'll shoot you," the gunman warned. "No, you won't," Downs replied. Downs said he told the gunman that his wife, Mrs. O.C. Downs, was in the kitchen. "I'm going to shoot you," the gunman threatened him. "No, you aren't going to shoot me," Downs answered. When his wife came into the store, Downs said the gunman ran out the front door. "He went down the road and I got my gun out of the desk drawer," Downs explained. Downs said a friend, Tommy Steele of Rossville community, drove up in his car about the same time the gunman fled the scene. "He left here running on foot," Downs said. "He went on down the road and into my pasture about 200 yards from the store." Downs said he and Steele drove down the road and spotted the gunman in a field. "While we were getting the car off the road, he took off and we lost him," Downs said. Downs said the gunman didn't appear to be nervous, but apparently was because of the way he took off. The 1940 model Stewart County, Tennessee census. Oliver was 28 years old. O.C. was 31 years old. Morris Earl was 10. Roselle was 7. Charles was 5. Alfred Franklin was 3. And Anne, the mother of Oliver, was 69 years old. Mr. and Mrs. W.R. Pate of Erin, Tennessee, announced the marriage of their daughter, Jeanette, to Morris Downs, son of Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Downs of Clarksville. The wedding took place recently at Corinth, Mississippi, in the First Methodist Church with the Reverend J.T. Humphreys officiating. The bride chose for the occasion a powder blue suit with navy accessories. Her shoulder corsage was a purple orchid. The bride is a graduate of Erin High School and the groom is a graduate of Clarksville High. After a short wedding trip, the couple will make their home in Clarksville. This is from a February 1972 newspaper clipping. "This week we salute Morris Downs, Sergeant, Montgomery County Sheriff Patrol. Sergeant Downs, a graduate of Clarksville High, is a veteran of over 10 years in law enforcement. He has attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Academy and the supervisor schools offered by that institution. Sergeant Downs and his wife, Jeanette, have a daughter, Teresa, age 16. A native Clarksvillian, Sergeant Downs' parents, Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Downs, are residents of Clarksville." From newspaper article dated April the 25th, 1990. Lieutenant Morris E. Downs, 59, a veteran of the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department and a dedicated member of 2 local shrine clubs, died Tuesday at his home. Within a few months, Lieutenant Downs, 103 Kimbrough Court, would have observed his 30th anniversary at the Sheriff's Department. He supervised the department's Civil Process Division, which includes serving civil warrants. Downs also was in charge of the Sheriff's Department's Courts Division, which staffs the county's courtrooms with deputies and transports prisoners to court. This funeral will be at 2 p.m. Thursday at Neil Tarpley Funeral Home with the Reverend William Corley officiating. Masonic services will be at 7 to 9 at the funeral home. He will be buried with full military honors in Greenwood Cemetery. Visitation will continue at the funeral home until the hour of service. Survivors include his wife, Jeanette Pate Downs, a daughter, Teresa Brown, Clarksville, his mother, O.C. Herndon Downs, Clarksville, 3 brothers, Frank Downs and Max Downs, both of Clarksville, and Charles Downs, Risco, Missouri. 2 sisters, Nell Welch Adams and Roselle May Risco, and 4 grandchildren. I certainly was shocked to hear this morning of his death, Montgomery County Sheriff Billy R. Smith said. He was a longtime friend, and I am certainly going to miss him. He said, if Morris had an enemy, I've never heard anyone say it. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about him. He was a fine gentleman. Jerry Vickers, president of the Fort Campbell Shrine Club, said Downs was dedicated to the shrine, which raised money to support shrine hospitals for burned and crippled children. That's our total goal, and of course that was his, Vickers said. Downs was president of the Fort Campbell Shrine Club in 1989 when the club raised more than $20,000 for the Children's Hospital. It was the most the club had raised in a single year since the year it was formed 10 years ago, Vickers said. Downs was born December 23, 1930 in Stewart County, a son of Oliver F. Downs and Ossie Herndon Downs. He was a U.S. Navy veteran of the Korean War and a member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars 48-95. He was a member of the Tennessee Sheriff Association and the Fraternal Order of Police. He was a member of the Church of God, the Queen City Masonic Lodge 761, York Rite Bodies Chapter 3, Clarksville Council 105, Clarksville Commanders 8, Almena Shrine Temple, Scottish Rite Consistory, Rizpah Temple, and the Eastern Star 202. He was a past president of the Fort Campbell Shrine Clowns, a member of Hillbilly Clan 37 of Kentucky, and a loyal Order of Moose 1027. Pallbearers will be Sheriff Sergeants Jack Batson and Billy Batson, and Sheriff's Deputies John Edmondson Sr., Thurman Sinks, Virgil Holt, and Galen Hodges. The family suggests memorials be made to the shrine hospitals for crippled and burned children in care of the Fort Campbell Shrine Club, Post Office Box 722, Oak Grove, Kentucky, 42262. Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Downs announced the marriage of their daughter Roselle to Cargene May of Risco, Missouri. The wedding took place October 11th at 3 in Springfield, Tennessee. Upon their return from wedding trip, the couple will make their home in Risco. This article was dated October 13th, 1954. This article was dated April the 16th, 1999. Roselle May. Roselle Downs May, 65, of Risco, Missouri, formerly of Clarksville and Dover, died Wednesday, April 14, 1999, at her home. The funeral will be at 11 a.m. Saturday at Bradshaw Funeral Home in Malden, Missouri, with the Reverend Joe Williams and the Reverend Ray Rowland officiating. Burial will be in Memorial Park, Malden. Visitation will be today at 6 p.m. at the funeral home. She was born May the 14th, 1933 in Model, daughter of Oliver Franklin Downs and Ossie Lee Herndon Downs, Clarksville. Mrs. May was retired from May Oil Company, Risco, a member of the Rural Independent Club, Les Club, and Pleasant View General Baptist Church, Risco. In addition to her mother, survivors include her husband, Cargene May, Risco, a son, David Cargene, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, Three brothers, Charles G. Downs Risco, Frank Downs, and Max Downs, both of Clarksville. A sister, Nell Welch of Adams, and two grandchildren. Memorials may be made to the Pleasant View General Baptist Church, Risco. Pallbearers will be Andy Smeltzer, Kevin Carlisle, Howard DePro, Randy DePro, Mike Thomas, and Larry Plunkett Jr. This newspaper article was dated March 12, 1954. Charles Downs, Airman 3rd Class Charles G. Downs, son of Mr. Oliver F. Downs of 730 North 2nd Street, is presently being trained as an Air Force technician at Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming. At this historical former cavalry post outside Cheyenne, the Air Force is training young airmen in many specialties needed for air power. Warren Air Force Base trains automotive, utilities, telephone, and teletype operators, repairmen, inspectors, and supervisors, as well as administrative and supply technicians. This newspaper article was dated August 29, 1956. Local boy weds Murfreesboro girl on August 25th. Announcements was made recently of the marriage of Miss Virginia Juanice Lamb, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Floyd Lamb of Murfreesboro, to Charles Glenn Downs, son of Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Franklin Downs of Clarksville. The marriage was solemnized Friday afternoon, August 17th, at the home of the officiating minister, Wayne Coates of the Westview Church of Christ. Miss Ferry Ann Matthews of Murfreesboro and Jess Perry of Seward Air Force Base were the only attendants. The bride attended Central High School, and Mr. Downs graduated from Clarksville High School. He is an Airman 1st Class stationed at Seward Air Force Base. The couple will reside at 1111 North Maple Street, Murfreesboro. This newspaper article was dated December 1952. The losing team eating beans at Leaf Chronicle party held this weekend at the Hotel Montgomery. The party was held at the end of the circulation contest conducted by this newspaper. They are from left: David Collier, Pat Cunningham, Malcolm Murchison, Frank Downs, Joe Outlaw, Jimmy Charley, Kenny Dowdy, Lloyd Collier, Kent Harrell, Jerry Corvin, Gerald Packer, Milford Chester, and Harold Pittman. This article was dated December 1955. Annual basket distribution. The Clarksville High School students' annual project of distributing baskets of food to needy families was a highlight of closing day of school. The auditorium was the scene of the presentation of the baskets from the advisory groups. At 10 o'clock Wednesday, December 21st, the program was conducted by Miss Ursula Smith, Junior Red Cross Chairman. From left to right are Frank Downs, Billy Dinwiddle, Bob Barham, and William Halloms. The students delivered the baskets to more than 65 homes of the city and rural communities. This article was dated January 1964. UGF Awards. These 9 men were representing local firms were presented the Fair Share Awards. The highest award given to the county by the United Givers Fund. The awards were presented yesterday at the USO. From left, front row, are John Maddox Tire and Appliance Company, Joe Dillon of Davis Stores, Frank Downs, J.E. Roche Printing Company, and James A. Belt, principal of Rossville School. Second row is Ralph Goldberg's Furniture, Jim Kane, Mann and Smith Insurance, Howard King, Northerton and Frost, Harold Organ Jr., Oregon Building Supply, and Alton Pulley Quality Products. Chronicle photo by Jim Mundy. This article was dated May the 23rd, 1960. Mr. and Mrs. George L. Coppage of Guthrie, Kentucky, announced the engagement and approaching marriage of their daughter Sarah Elizabeth to Alfred Franklin Downs, son of Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Downs of Clarksville. The wedding will be an event of June the 3rd. The bride-elect will be graduated in May from Clarksville High School. Mr. Downs is a graduate of Clarksville High and is employed with J.E. Rush Company. This newspaper article was dated February the 17th, 2005. Nell A. Welch, 64, Adams, died Wednesday, February the 16th, 2005 at her residence. The funeral will be at 3 p.m. Friday at Reynolds, Nave, and Larson Funeral Home with Reverend Gary Rance officiating. Burial will be in Bellwood Cemetery, Adams. Visitation will be from 4 to 8 p.m. today and on Friday from 2 p.m. till the hour. She was born August the 20th, 1940 in Montgomery County, daughter of Oliver and Ossie Lee Herndon Downs. Mrs. Welch was a homemaker and a member of Fellowship United Methodist Church. Survivors include her husband, Bond Welch, 5 sons, Bo Welch and Kenny Copeland, both of Clarksville, Lee Welch, New York, and Keith Copeland and Raleigh Welch, both of Adams. 3 brothers, Charles Downs, Risco, Missouri, Frank Downs, and Max Downs, both of Clarksville, and 9 grandchildren. Pallbearers will be Ivan Cologne, Larry Groves, Kelly Downs, Alan Downs, Clint Clipfel, Barker C., Jimmy Ayers, and Greg Baldwin. Honorary pallbearers will be members of Fellowship United Methodist Church. Memorial contributions may be made to Gateway Hospice, Madison Street, Clarksville. This article was dated April the 8th, 1963. Kathy Balthrop. Engagement announced. Mr. and Mrs. Charles D. Balthrop, 352 Hickory Grove Boulevard, announced the engagement of their daughter Kathy to Airman Second Class Max Downs, son of Mr. and Mrs. Oliver Downs. The wedding will take place July the 2nd at 11 a.m. at the Cumberland Presbyterian Church with the Reverend Logan Tillman officiating. Miss Balthrop is a graduate of Clarksville High School and is attending Austin Peay State College. She is a member of the Clarksville Cotillion Club and the Governettes. Mr. Downs is also a graduate of Clarksville High School, attended Weber College in Ogden, Utah, and is currently stationed in Hill Air Force Base, Utah. This article is dated November the 26th, 1973. Top newspaper boys: Robert Dollar, second from left, and David Forster, third from left, accepted Newspaper Boy of the Year award from Mrs. William Birdsong. At left is Max Downs, Leaf Chronicle Circulation Manager, and at right is Herschel Wiley, Leaf Chronicle Circulation Director. This is the articles dated March the 2nd, 1973. Travis Kingsman and Max Downs have been named to new management positions with the Leaf Chronicle, according to an announcement made by James E. Charlotte, president and publisher. Kingman, longtime advertising salesman with the Chronicle, has been promoted to the post of Assistant Display Advertising Manager. Downs, former District Circulation Manager for the Nashville Tennessean, has been named City Circulation Manager. He assumes his duties effective Monday. In his new post, Kingsman will be working with account development training and new account services. He has 25 and a half years experience as a newspaper advertising salesman. A Clarksville native, Kingsman is a 1947 graduate of Clarksville High School. He is a veteran of World War II service with the U.S. Navy and was discharged with the rank of First Class Petty Officer. Kingsman is a member of the Clarksville Chamber of Commerce, is a Mason, and is an avid fisherman and member of the Clarksville Bass Club. He is married to the former Sadie Sanders of Clarksville, and they have 2 children. They reside at 1277 Jostor Drive, and attended Baptist Church. Downs, 30, is also a native Clarksvillian and is a 1960 graduate of Clarksville High. He's a 1970 graduate of Austin Peay State University, where he majored in business administration. In his new post of city circulation manager, Downs will be responsible for the distribution and promotion of the newspaper while the core area of the city as well as the surrounding areas. Downs began his career in newspaper circulation as a news carrier for the Leaf Chronicle, and later worked in the newspaper's mail distribution section while in school. He served as district circulation manager for the Nashville Tennessean here for 5 years. This is Max Dale Downs. This concludes the reading of the Model News, October the 28th, 1937. I'd be appreciative if you would comment and like, so I'll know people are still watching. Thank you.